Now the relief, what we filed at the Human Rights Committee is subject of a little booklet. Yeah?
Okay.
Ambazonia in world politics. So I will only just read the relief from inside and the compensation we're asking for. There we are. The most of the relief are to redress me for the fact that I asked for Cameroon to get out of Ambazonia, and for that reason I was arbitrarily arrested and locked up, prosecuted. All that one are things that affect me as an individual. But then there was the relief for the fact that Ambazonia has been held down by Cameroon, occupied by Cameroon. I asked compensation for the redress we asked for was that a declaration of liability, compensation for wrong done, and restitution of the rights deprived. Now, declaration of liability, that one about that Cameroon has illegally occupied our country and so, that's one. But the other one is this. Redress for continuing violations, the right to a nationality. The violation is contrary to Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, International Convention on Elimination of Racial Discrimination, Article 5, D, sub 3, International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, Article 24, sub 3. Then the right of self-determination, which has been violated contrary to International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, Article 1.1. International Convention on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, Article 1.1. The compensation we ask for is that Cameroon is to pay to me, as well as to every Ambazonian alive, $25,000 every 3 months until Cameroon fully withdraws from Ambazonia. And this payment is to take effect from the 27th of June 1984 to the day Cameroon fully withdraws. That's the day Cameroon signed up the ICCPR, the optional protocol, 27th of June 1984. So every Ambazonian is to be paid £25,000 every three months from 27th of June 1984 up till the day Cameroon packs out of our country.
Why do you pick 1984?
That's the time the Cameroon became liable.
That's the day they became La République du Cameroun.
No. That is the time they signed up to recognize these rights.
Okay.
Up to then, we could not claim against them.
Okay.
Until 27th of June 1984, Cameroon was not liable to anything. From the day they signed up, they became liable. And then they are to pay 50% of this to the estate of any Ambazonian deceased after 27th of June. Anybody who died after 27th of June will have 50% of this amount paid into his estate. These are the things we ask for. The Geneva served Cameroon with all these claims and redresses sought, and asked Cameroon to counter this, by raising technicality to throw it out, and they must do that within 2 months if it has any technical objection to what has been claimed, or file a defense and show justification why these charges or this claim should not be enforced on Cameroon. 6 months. Must do that according to the rule by 6 months. Of course, Cameroon could find no legal justification to say why they are occupying Ambazonia. The question of plebiscite has been exposed because we added this to it and showed them that what Cameroon says we voted for, when Cameroon says we voted to become La République de Cameroon, is not true. And they have seen this, that it's not true. So what is Cameroon supposed to give as their excuse? 0. The 6 months passed. I asked from there, I said, how can I have what Cameroon has filed? They said, no, Cameroon has already defaulted. And they now wrote me a letter saying Cameroon has failed to set up any counter. What does it mean? Cameroon has conceded that all that we have claimed is indefensible. They cannot defend it. They have said they are giving Cameroon, they are writing Cameroon to tell them that they have now defaulted and the ICJ is going to take a decision on that. I don't know what has happened between then and now. But that is what I want to point out here is this. In all this international jurisdiction, they expect the parties to be honorable enough to enforce decisions of the court without force from outside. So the procedure there, somebody to go and enforce and so on, is neither here nor there. So, but if we are getting people from outside, a country like, take for example, Belgium gives itself the right to prosecute anybody for war crime in their own country. And they have charged the American commander of Iraq for war crimes before Belgium. And it's giving the United States plenty of headache for that. Now, if we were able to get a country, or even an NGO, that we want Cameroon to be pushed out, they have up to 7 mandates covering them. So, having come to this stage, see, this Human Rights Committee was the very first time an international organ of the United Nations has asked Cameroon to explain why they are occupying Ambazonia. Never have anybody have any group, any organization ask them why they are occupying the place. So it has come to Cameroon as a terrible shock, and they don't know what to do with it. The simplest thing they can do is, well, we will get out. Let us sort it out and get back to the old arrangement we had before the plebiscite, depending on what our Ambazonian people are going to say. But if they say they are not getting out, they are creating what I call an abyss. Abyss is a bottomless pit, because Ambazonia is going to get free. When God decided to get Paul Biya to pass that law which dissolved the union, God meant that Ambazonia was going to get free, and it will get free. I pity Cameroonians, because this gang of kleptomaniacs who are surrounding Paul Biya, they are not interested in the welfare of Cameroonians. Because if they are interested in the welfare of Cameroonians, they would know that if there is a forceful way of throwing Cameroon out, they will never again have anything to do with us. And they need us very badly for their economy. So, the message one has to give Paul Biya is this: break loose from this cocoon that is tying you down to arrogance and greed. I remember when this new social order was put out and they diffused the time bomb and so on. A French newspaper in Paris, Le Monde Diplomatique, came out with an article. That was the first time somebody wrote La République d'Ambazonie. It was there. If you go to Library of Congress, go to the legal section. Don't go for newspapers. That Le Monde Diplomatique is such an important paper in France that even in Library of Congress they put it in the library for judicial. It is Le Monde that used to put up government and bring them down in the Fourth Republic. That paper came out and said that they forecast the establishment of the Republic of Ambazonia interposed between Nigeria and Cameroon. And they did. The man was so, the paper became very spiritual in saying that the ancien bâtonnier, that is the president of Cameroon Bar, that's myself, is addressing Paul Biya like Joseph the Dreamer was addressing Pharaoh. What did Joseph the Dreamer tell Pharaoh about the catastrophe that is going to happen to Egypt? Now, the difference between the Pharaoh and Paul Biya is that Pharaoh so loved his people, the Egyptians, that he was prepared to surrender all his powers to a slave prisoner to bring salvation to his people. What will Paul Biya ever think of that? As far as he's concerned, the rest of Cameroon can go to hell. But maybe God, we are dealing with a God of miracles. It may somehow send a spirit to turn Paul Biya's head and say, look, respond to this matter in a spiritual fashion, like Pharaoh responded to Joseph the Dreamer. It is. I was surprised to see this French Paris newspaper putting it out like that. I just asked myself. That's May 1986. I said, can you imagine? These people are now dealing with this matter from a spiritual realm, which is what I have been dealing with. We hope that the Spirit of God will be injected to Paul Biya to discard himself of this clique of thieves who say they are the best people for him, and Paul Biya will look out and get some wisdom from God. Say, look, let's sort this out without any problems, because the alternative is going to be too ghastly for the people of Cameroon. They need us much more than we need them. And peace between us will create a bridge, 4-lane bridge across the Mongo. But a fight will create, instead of a 4-lane bridge of love, a fight will create an abyss of hate between our two people. And I hope that never happens.
I have one question to ask you. In the United States, our lawyers here always go for what they call the deep pocket, meaning that if you are, for example, an employee of a company and you go out there with even the least authority or the least support of that company for whatever thing you do out there that's at fault, or meaning that if you were, say you were driving a company vehicle, you're not even authorized by the company to drive that vehicle,
yeah,
and you go and crash and kill somebody, or crush a family,
yeah,
they will not really be coming after you as an individual because you don't have money.
No.
But because you're driving a company vehicle, they will go.
I don't understand what vicarious liability. They call it vicarious liability.
Right.
Company is vicariously liable for the thoughts of its servant, even if it's going on a frolic.
Right. Now,
Yes.
my question to you is, La Republique was created, has been governed, continuously governed, and defended abroad by France.
Yes.
How is France culpable in this whole illegality that's going on, which you are trying to address? What is France's responsibility there? Because France is obviously benefiting, and what are France's liability? I guess you get only. I think you understand my question.
Yes, you see, the French liability, if at all there is any, is not that which you can pin down in black and white. There is nothing that stops Paul Biya or Cameroon government stop them from doing things which an independent country like small Gambia can do without having to get clearance from Britain. But these people, French colonialism colonizes the psyche, the mind. And you just you say you are independent, but you dare do nothing without clearance from Champs-Élysées. But there's nothing there in black and white that you must get clearance from Champs-Élysées.
No, the cooperation agreements which make them operate in partnership.
Yes, cooperation agreement. There are countries that have cooperation agreements. It doesn't stop you from sacking a minister or appointing a minister until you get a clearance from Paris. I think you understand. My position is this. France will say, oh, Cameroon is an independent country.
Is it?
Yes. France will say it's an independent country. It has a seat in the United Nations. Everywhere they are doing their things independently. Recently, Paul Biya went to have a dinner with George Bush to show you that he's independent. But we know that there's more more than that meets the eye. Paul Biya would not dare cut a T or dot an I if it's going to get him trouble with France. That's why George Bush has he visited any African country, any Francophone country except Senegal, and they didn't go. Where did they go? They went to the place for slaves.
Glory.
Yeah? Yes. That was an excuse. Because if you had just visited that country like that, France will say, oh, you are with George Bush against us. The next minute, it is the security system is linked to the French Red Hand. You won't hear that the French, the president has had an accident in an air accident. So you see these people sitting down there. The only independence they have is the flag and the anthem. The substance of independence is in Paris. How can you have an economy when you do not control the currency you use? Your currency is valued, revalued, and devalued from Paris. So where is the independence you have? So France is there, right? But you can't pin France down to say France is responsible. But you know that when you come and attack La République de Cameroun, you know that you are attacking France. Because they are going to call on France to come as an ally under the Franco-Cameroon cooperation agreement. It is that alliance that was fighting Nigeria. The French Navy moved right up to Calabar, to Douala. I have pictures of the French Navy where the French naval chief was asked. He said if he's given permission, he can recover Bakassi within a couple of hours. Right? Then there were French paratroopers who came to Cameroon. So there is that alliance between them. So to say one can hold something against France, you've got to be. We are strictly technical, strictly legalistic. It must be something you can hold against France, which anybody, a court of law, can say you have a case against France, but you can't have any case here.
Well, basically, what you just told me is that there is a fraud being perpetuated there, and that fraud gives cover for France to benefit, but not to bear liability.
Right.
And I'm thinking that
right.
in the United States we are able to make those connections and prove, because sometimes it's not just what the law says, but it's also what it is.
That is the United States. If we were taking a case like this before the United States, you never can say what is going to happen tomorrow if what we are doing here gives us the opportunity to take up a thing like that. And there are people suggesting that France will be in, because the United States know how to link up. Because you are getting the benefit. You cannot be saying you don't take liabilities for it. Responsibilities go you are having benefits, you must carry the responsibilities. So, if it was in America, yes. If we were filing in this case for an American court, we would implead France as a co-defendant. Because the oil is being sold by France. We are not even in OPEC. France is selling our oil for us, and though America buys about 80% of the oil, they pay to France. They're not happy doing that, but it is France that is selling our oil. That is it.
Okay, so in effect, there is a possibility that the dollar amount that you claim in the last mandate there,
yeah,
as they add up, they're adding up for France also. There is a possibility.
There's a possibility if Britain, if Paul Biya has his sense to serve a third-party notice on France that we chop this thing together, and you chop the bigger part of it. You come and contribute. You see what I mean? But with anybody, Paul Biya dare that. You can't. When they see anything that is France, they tremble like this. And that's the mentality of the Francophone. I remember when we were trying to harmonize the legal system, we will analyze something that we should do for our two systems. You hear this, our colleagues on the other side say, no, ça se peut faire en France. We are talking about Cameroon. It's no, this is not done in France. So if it's not done in France, we can't do it for our country. No, ça se peut. When they come to one, we tell them that this is incorrect. They say, no, that's what happens in France. So it is here. The Francophone here is colonized. The Anglophone is colonized in that it's property. The British colonialism comes for your property and leaves your brains. They take your property, and if you say, get out, independence, you say, all right, here's your independence. You stay with your tradition, with your thinking, and so on. Do you remember when independence came? It is from us that Hiju learned how to wear agbada. For him, dressing had meant a tie. You've got to be French in order to look civilized. That is the mentality of the Francophone. You have got to be French. The more French you are, the more civilized you are. Nothing which is African is considered as civilization. No. So this is the difference we have with those brothers there, that they have a mentality that is tied up in Paris. It will never be loosened from there.
You know, you've created so many connections that I sit here and basically what's going through my brains is, now, if we establish our Britain citizenship, what is the obligation of Britain in collecting that whole bill you put there? Because that bill now it's a bill that is owed British citizens.
No, Britain has nothing to collect it. We get it ourselves.
No, but you understand what what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
But you don't want to go there quite yet. It sounds like to me.
Which British citizens? Yes, British citizens doesn't mean that Britain has to come and make a claim for us. If Britain were anxious to make a claim for us, they would have told France. They would have even said they are recognizing us. And if they recognized us, the citizenship will lapse. If they recognize us as an independent state, British citizenship would lapse. But you have people there in London who have this racism as far as they are concerned. Have you ever thought of the fact that Britain waged war 12,000 miles away in South Atlantic, in the Falklands, to prevent neighboring Argentina from exercising sovereignty on Falklands? But when it came to us, and those people in the Falklands are not British citizens, they are British protected persons. Only a few thousands are there. When it comes to us, they conceived planned, launched, and executed the transfer of our sovereignty to a foreign country. What makes us different from the people in the Falklands is because that those people are white and we are blacks. And up to now, Britain has made no remorse, showed no remorse at all for what they are doing. I remember in 1997, one McCarthy, British ambassador, when Fonsung and the others were talking about demonstrating to the British embassy or trying to do something to get Britain involved in this matter, McCarthy, the rest of the embassies saw our plight. They knew that we had a case. They were quiet. The only one that spoke, backing up the Republic of Cameroon, was the British embassy. When McCarthy said that, oh, we had executed our duty to the Southern Cameroonian according to the trusteeship to the end. This was a blatant lie. They sold us stock, lock and barrel to to Ahijo because of CDC, and now they are telling us that they've done they executed what they were supposed to do under the United Nations Resolution 1608. Now, as far as the British man is concerned, human rights and those things are things for white man. Because here is a situation, they went to Kosovo, they led NATO to Kosovo to bomb Serbia out of Kosovo so that the people can have their sovereignty, their autonomy. Yet Britain had no hand in Kosovo being under Serbia. This one here, they conceived, planned, executed, and created this what the human rights advocates call the most sophisticated slave trade deal ever done under the nose of the United Nations. This was a slave trade deal done by Britain, selling us for 20 million pounds. And the official policy is remorseless. They say it is an internal affair of Cameroon. Implementation of a UN resolution 1608 is an internal affair of Cameroon.
Now let's think
Who
about
are they
this.
fooling?
You've heard them on their radios, on television.
So I hope that will help
You've even talked to them in your beer houses.
update your
What do they
material.
call us? They call us Anglo fools. They call you Anglo fools. And they've called all of us Biafrans. Are we Biafrans? They call us enemies in their house. That's not the truth. The truth is they stole our rights. You know that. They destroyed our wealth. Call us Cameroonians. We are Ambazonians.
Ambazonian, that's what we are. Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. We love you. Amazon, Ambazonians. Oh, Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. We are yours.
You know, Ambazonia is not a dream. It's a reality. And let's talk to Ambazonia. Ambazonia, you were lost and abused. Now you are found. We have found you. We pledge our lives to set you free, forever free.